So this happened to me today.
Oh no! Oh no! No, you didn't!
The kitty tastes as if it's been sitting alone in a bucket for a while.
Alright, what is up, Transformer fans? This is the video review of the Transformers Prime Deluxe Class Knockout. Character that I owned once, but when I bought him, he had 2 left feet. I'm not kidding, so he wouldn't stand, so I took him back and never found him again. I bought this one on the aftermarket when I did my large shopping spree of Transformers Prime figures, and I'm glad to have him back in my collection. But I think it's time we take an objective look at this figure, because the Robots in Disguise, the Prime Robots in Disguise line, has had some ups and downs, and I feel like we've covered the downs and the ups with Arachnid and Ratchet. And now I want to see how Knockout places in there. So we'll go ahead and take a look at his vehicle mode. He's got the staff that he uses in the show from time to time. It breaks into 2 pieces, and you'll see why later, but that makes it kind of unfortunate because it bends all over the place, and then it also likes to come undone. But he's got his little Energon staff. It's solid black. It's very detailed and very nice. It has one peg hole that pegs into the side of either side of his vehicle mode. But yeah, a staff. Yay. He is the nice little red and maroon sports car, and on the camera it's going to look orange, but trust me, it's red. He's got the maroon down the top. He's got the gold kind of vent detailing. His wheels aren't painted. His rims aren't painted at all. And you think for Knockout they would have painted his rims, but oh well. The side is a really weird, it's not at all what it was like in the show. It's just kind of airbrushed. It goes from silver and it fades to maroon, and it's got a couple little details in there. But it doesn't look like his side detailing at all in the show, to the point where Repro Labels had to make a whole new set of stickers for him. I'm going to adjust this. Repro Labels had to make a whole new set of stickers for him that are a type of vinyl that they use on actual cars to make it look right because of the complex contours of this mold. But I didn't spring for that. I just have the naked figure, and well, whatever. Up front, he's got the very nice grille. You can see it looks very iconic of what the show had. It's the vehicle. The paint's not right, but it definitely is the vehicle from the show. He is another one who suffers from having a translucent windshield for no reason, and I think that's where most of the paint budget went, just like Ratchet. This whole top area here is this clear plastic, and even, actually no, this whole, like, from here all the way around, I'm right, is, I thought back here was too, but I know that's not. This is all molded in that clear plastic, but it's painted over, so not only when you transform it is the paint going to start to chip off, also this clear plastic has a higher chance of breaking than regular plastic, and it wasted the paint budget. So, frickin' yeah. The doors are cast in red, but it looks like these are separate pieces. I don't know. But yeah, definitely the whole roof and these windows are all clear plastic. Yay! He rolls pretty well. At the back, you can see they totally neglected to paint his rear, and they didn't do the rear windshield either. So, I mean, the paint budget suffered a lot on this guy, and I think when you're doing a Knockout and he's the vehicle and he's a automotive enthusiast like he said he was in the show, I think getting the car mode right is a big step, and I don't think necessarily that the clear windows do anything. I think clear windows on Transformers are impractical because you don't see anything but the robot junk, and I think that you could accomplish the same effect with some, shiny paint. I don't know. I just think the clear windows don't really do much. So, there's my 2 cents on that. But yeah, he's a neat little vehicle. Wish he was painted better, and definitely think that it could have been executed in a better way if they were smarter about the paint budget. moving on to his transformation, you will notice as I'm doing it, it gets a little bit awkward. I mean, you can kind of see if you look on the underside where everything's at, but there's a couple steps that just have to be done in the exact right order for it to all work together, and he ends up being a little bit fiddly. What you do is you want to grab the whole back of the car, and it untabs, and his legs swing out like that, and then I'm going to leave those. I won't mess with those just yet. Then the whole roof of the car splits into two pieces, and it wants to cave in on itself because of the way it's designed, so it's kind of a pain in the butt getting them apart. But you want to come under here and you want to split, and you just kind of pull it all off the side, and then one by one you want to rotate this wheel. You want to grab the wheel, and it pulls this whole section out and around. So you can see the wheel is now moved back here, and it moves the shoulder assembly to the outside. So you got to do that one by one, otherwise they'll ram into each other. And you kind of like you see, I'm having to fiddle with it. I'm having to make sure nothing runs into itself. It just is all fiddly, and I've got to move a lot of stuff around. So there's that. So now I've got that. So then what you want to do is you want to come here, and the arm unfolds, then it flips around, and then it folds back on itself, which is kind of interesting. Then you flip the hand out, once again being very fiddly, and then you close the windshield up, and then you can straighten all this out, and there's his arm. So there you can see how the whole door and everything does its thing, and we'll watch again because it's, like I said, it's super fiddly, but this is kind of an interesting step to turn the door into the arm, I think. So you bend this out, then you rotate it all the way around like so you're putting the elbow on the other end. You flip this joint back into place, and then you're going to have to mess with it a little bit to make sure it's right. Then you flip out his hand, and then you close the top, the roof, and the windshield down over, and that makes his arm, which ends up, even though it's a weird step, it ends up accomplishing a lot because he has the appropriate door hands, and it actually fills in and makes his arms look solid. So there we go, it did something. Then you come under here and you flip out this little piece, then you flip the bumper out a little bit, then the top of the car untabs, and this is where it gets weird. You kind of have to bring the whole thing down and around, and you got to make sure that all this gets flattened. So you flatten all this out. You can go ahead and peg. There's a peg on the back here that plugs into this main stick that's his body. I'm going to move his arm out of the way so you can see. So this big gray piece is like his spine. So you're doing all that. Then you also want to take this part of the hood, and it kind of comes out forward. You can kind of see how it does that. And his head pops up, so that's cool. He's got a little head reveal, and you didn't see that. Let me pan up. Yay! Let's try it again. So it's in like that, and then you grab it and you kind of wiggle it, and that pops his head up, and then you kind of move it forward, and now all his chest is kind of into place. And then you take the grill of the car, and it bends around, and it actually tabs here around his waist, so it kind of fills in the sides and also locks all this together, so that's pretty decent. And then you rotate the arms, get those all situated, get those shoulder fins pointed in the right way. Split his legs. The rear of the car rotates 180. Then you can untab his foot from right there and bring it and rotate it down and around. Do that on the other side. Rotate this around. Untab the foot. Rotate it down and around. And then it's just a matter of straightening him up and standing him up. And there is Knockout in his robot mode. So here we have Knockout fully fleshed out in his robot mode, and as you can see, he becomes a little bit of a lanky guy. I know he's a little bit slimmer in the show, but he's got more bulk in his shoulders in the show, so I don't know, just kind of the way he transforms and the way the whole chest gets done, I think it kind of ends up looking a little bit weird. It doesn't flesh out his shoulders and his upper body as much as I think it could have. If there was more budget, I think this figure would have looked just as good as it does in car mode, you know, mold-wise, in robot mode, you know. I think it could look more accurate. Just like Ratchet looked more accurate. He looked accurate in both modes. This guy could be that if I think there was just a little bit more budget thrown at him. Unfortunately, he suffered from the Robots in Disguise budget cuts. Anyway, so you can take his staff and it splits apart, and you slide it into his hand because of the way his hands are molded. Then you have to clip this back on the end here. But yeah, he's holding his staff. Yay! So there's that. You can't clip it in and out because his hands are molded in such a way that it won't. But I don't really like him using the staff because it's weird. You can see I'm finagling with the chest a little bit. It's weird trying to mess with him, and you just gotta kind of have to fiddle fart around with him to see where you want the parts at. And when you're moving his shoulders, it moves this panel as well. Like it messes with his whole collar, and I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of, as much as all this center mass locked together and the way all the arms did everything, I'm not a huge fan of how it just seems like they forgot up here and it just doesn't really tab in. Something about it feels lazy. I'm sure whoever designed the figure was putting thought into it, and I'm sure that whatever gripes I'm finding are a result of the budget cuts that happened. But, I mean, it's just like, he's good in the middle, and all the way all this locks together and the way the whole waist and everything comes to be, it ends up making a lot of sense, and he's really solid in the waist. But it's like as soon as you start messing up here, it just is a floppy mess, and it doesn't make him fun to play with because he's so floppy. So I think the head sculpt is really, really good. Let me get it up close. It looks like him. Could probably use a little bit more paint, but it definitely looks like Knockout, so there's that. I mean, it is the character, and I think, I mean, yeah, he's got the little wheels back here, but, you know, they don't stick up as much as they should. It's like, I don't know, it's like a kid dressing up as Knockout. You can see the character there, but there's like these little tiny details that are just not exactly right. That's the way I feel about him. He doesn't hit the nail on the head exactly. He's close, but, you know, no cigar. So I think what saves this figure is the character itself. And I've thought a lot about this. It's just the way he was in the show. You know, everybody, I'm not going to say everybody because that's generalizing. Most people that I know really like Knockout from Transformers Prime. And so this character in a toy instantly has a leg up because it's a beloved character. That doesn't mean that he's a great toy. I think that this toy has a lot of shortcomings and, you know, things that would be a little bit worse if the character wasn't as beloved. But because it's Knockout, I think some people are like, oh, hey, yeah, it's Knockout, and they overlook some of these little flaws. And now that I've had him, and now that Prime is over, and now that I've had time to digest this figure and, you know, really just take objective looks at it, I think this is definitely one of the weaker Transformers Prime figures. It's not that great. He has a significant lack of paint where he should because of the character. And the transformation can be a little bit fiddly. It does some genius things, don't get me wrong. The arms are probably my favorite part of that whole transformation. But he gets super fiddly, and he doesn't tab together super well in his upper torso. And overall, I just think that he's not that great in robot mode because of these little shortcomings. He's just not exactly right. But the character, once again, is what saves it for me. And I think he's a decent figure. He's not a great toy, but the character itself is the reason to have it. So do with that what you will. I also own the little Legends one, and it wasn't great either. So maybe Knockout's body type is just really weird to get, and you can't feasibly do it without having, you know, masterpiece level engineering. And maybe that's it, and maybe I'm just being judgmental about this toy, but I was thinking, you know, I need to take an objective look at it and share my thoughts, and I think that's what it is. I think this figure is close but no cigar, and the character is what saves it. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.